Knull beheaded a Celestial. He tore the Sentry in half and ate what was inside him. He took Thor's best hit and grew the jaw back. Then a man from Cleveland killed him. Here is the claim, and everything in this video is evidence for it. Every god who stood against Knull lost, and the thing that finally ended him was a human being. That is not a fluke in the writing. It is the shape of the character, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. 3 fights, all cited, in order of how much they should have worked. Knull did not exist early in the universe. He existed before it. There was darkness, and it was total, and he was in it. Not waiting. Content. Then the Celestials looked at that nothing, decided it was wanting, and made light and life. He took it as a violation. Something had been done to his home without asking. So he reached into himself and pulled out a weapon. All black, the Necrosword, forged from his own living darkness. And this is the detail people skip. That sword is described as his firstborn. It is not a thing he made. It is a thing he had. He used it to behead a Celestial, and the war between the dark and the gods of creation started there. One more thing about that sword, because it comes back. All black was later stolen from him, and the thief was Gore, the god butcher, the most famous god killer in Marvel history. Gore's entire legend was built on a weapon Knull had already discarded. Hold on to that. It tells you what tier we are dealing with before a single punch is thrown. Case 1. The Celestials, in Venom number 4, 2018, by Donny and Ryan Stegman. These are the beings who build life on a planetary scale, who show up in Marvel as forces of nature rather than characters, and who at that point in the timeline had just finished creating light itself. Knull takes physical form for the first time specifically to attack them, and he wins the exchange. Not survives it. Wins it. A Celestial head comes off. That is the first thing he ever does, and it sets the ceiling for everything after. Nothing later in this video is going to be too big for him, because he opened his career by killing one of the largest things in the universe with a sword he grew out of his own body. So when we get to the part where Earth's heroes line up in front of him, understand what they are lining up in front of. Case 2. King in Black 2020. Earth Sealing and both versions of it. The Avengers call in the Sentry. If you have watched the last 2 files on this channel, you know exactly who that is. The man with the power of 1,000,000 exploding suns, and the void living inside him. Knull tears him in half. And then he does something worse. He reaches into what is left and absorbs the void. He takes the darkest thing in the Marvel universe out of a man's body and adds it to himself. 2 videos on this channel have been about those 2, and Knull went through both of them in a single move. Then Thor. And Thor, to his enormous credit, actually lands one. Dylan Brock distracts Knull. Thor swings Mjolnir and takes the god's lower jaw clean off. Knull grows it back out of living abyss and impales him with the Necrosword. That is the honest state of the fight. The strongest being on the planet is dismembered and eaten. The god of thunder gets a real hit in, and it heals in front of him. Case 3. King in Black number 5. Eddie Brock. Eddie has already died in this event. He comes back carrying the Enigma Force, the power that makes someone Captain Universe, and what he does with it is the part worth watching. He does not outmuscle Knull. He takes Mjolnir and the Silver Surfer's board and forms them into an axe, and he uses it to tear all black off the King in Black. The sword, the firstborn, the thing that beheaded a Celestial. Removed, and Knull without it is vulnerable. Then Eddie flies him into the heart of the sun and holds him there until he burns to ash. Every god in this video attacked Knull with power. The man attacked the sword. So look at what actually killed the god of the abyss. Not a bigger god, not more power. He was disarmed, and then he was put somewhere he could not exist. The middle of a star, light and a small mortal life, which are precisely the 2 things that made him a villain in the first place. The Celestials made light, and he declared war on it. Living things like Eddie Brock are exactly the insignificant, temporary breathing clutter that the darkness was supposed to be free of. He did not lose to a rival. He lost to the specific things he was angry about, holding each other. And that is why the sword matters more than it looks. For all the talk of the abyss and the dark before creation, at the end the king in black was a being who could be beaten by taking his weapon away. The Celestials never thought to. Thor never got the chance. Now the objection, because if I skip it, the top comment writes it for me. Eddie Brock was not just a man in that moment. He had the Enigma Force. He was holding Mjolnir and the Silver Surfer's board. That is not a guy from Cleveland. That is a cosmic entity wearing one. True, and it makes the claim narrower and better. The variable was never the power. It was the vessel. Thor already had Mjolnir. The Celestials had more raw force than the Enigma Force ever granted anyone. Both of them brought what they had against Knull, and both of them lost. What changed at the end was who was holding it, and the Enigma Force chooses its hosts. It picked a man. One more honest note. Knull is repeatedly described as immortal, existing outside the ordinary rules of living and dying, which makes burn to ash a genuinely uncomfortable ending. Whether he is dead is arguable. Whether he was beaten is not. Knull is not a god who lost to a bigger god. He is a god who declared war on light and small lives, and was killed by light, carried by a small life. And that sword is still out there, still older than its owner, still turning whoever picks it up into a god killer. Next file, the weapon that outlived the god who made it.